From the racing capital of the world, Indianapolis, Indiana, welcome to yet another spectacular episode of the greatest spectacle in podcasting, the Seventh Gear Over Rev Show, presented to you by our great friends and partners over at KrausMeats.com, as well as Dick Carriers and Respect Your Package. We'll talk more about those folks in a little bit, but holy S-balls, Seventh Gear Over Rev fans, have we got a show for you today? I feel like it's Ladies' Day. I have the great distinction and privilege to have two of my great friends, besties they both are, racers, champions in their own right. You remember one of them. She was just on the show a couple weeks ago, the one and only Loni Unser. And my other bestie, 2023 Porsche Sprint Challenge champion, Ashley Frieberg. Ladies, welcome to Seventh Gear Over Rev Show. Thanks for coming on today. How are you?
Thanks for having
me. So good. Yeah,
I
so
love
glad
this.
to be back on, Kevin, and so fun to be here.
I am so happy to have you guys on. This has been a long time coming. I know, Ashley, you've been busy racing, and Loni, you have too. And we've got some gaps here now that the season's pretty much over, and we can just watch racing and try to find money to go race next season. So, kind of to that end, I mean, Seventh Gear Over Rev fans, I know you got to meet Loni a couple weeks ago, but Ashley does a little bit of everything. And in full disclosure, I have to tell you all that I have also the great privilege of getting to work with these two wonderful ladies at the AMG experience here around the United States. Although we haven't seen much of Ashley this year because she's been chasing the dream. But she does literally everything. She's been commentating at races. She's been on TV. I mean, she's doing everything just like Loni is. But I kind of want to delve in now that the season's over. I know the seasons didn't exactly go. I mean, I guess unless you win the championship every year, the season never goes the way you want it to go, right? But let's just kind of start with a little bit of recap, because I know, Ashley, season for you started off great, and then, man, it's like you had a target on your back getting punted, here and there and everywhere all over the country. So kind of walk us through your 2025 season.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed it on the head there. Yeah, it was definitely, really exciting to be in Porsche Carrera Cup of North America for the first time. Like, super competitive series. I was so stoked to be able to race with those drivers. I mean, Loni, I'm sure you think the same way. Like, the more you can be around really fast people, that only makes you better. So I was so stoked, and to be running with Kelly Moss as well. They're an amazing team. And yeah, I mean, Sebring, first race of the season, went really well, finished in the top 10, which is, really stacked up. Kind of the top 12 were super stacked. So that was really exciting. And I felt like, all right, we're going to start to get some momentum going here. And yeah, next race weekend went into Miami, which was another cool weekend because we got to race with Formula One. So, I mean, what a vibe, right? To be at the track during Formula One, like just being on the grid and like feeling the energy at the track was just so cool and surreal. Had a good qualifying. I qualified inside the top 10. I was 8th and 9th, I think, that race. And yeah, both races I got punted. So I think I got hit pretty quickly, and then I had to drive forward again. Somehow managed to finish in the top 10 there. But race 2, after I got hit, I couldn't make it forward after that because it was kind of towards the end of the race. And yeah, since then it was like a lot of just getting hit. So that really stunk because it was totally out of my control, but I just kind of kept trying to focus on my own deal and work on what I could work on. And yeah, so every weekend after that, I was hit. And then I got to Watkins Glen, which was my last race of the season, unfortunately, and I got totally pummeled, out of my control. It was drizzling out, and the guy on the outside of me got up on the curb in turn 1, full throttle, and got super sideways, slammed into me, and then took like 7 of us out. So, and I don't come with a lot of budget, and those cars are super expensive. So we tried to get the season back going again, but it was just way too astronomical of a price to make it happen. So yeah, it's been an interesting year. Like you said, kind of still stayed in the paddock with commentating and coaching and all the things that I can do. But yeah, it's tough. Racing is definitely, it can be really great, but also it can be equally as challenging.
I've found over the years, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way, it's like you love racing so much that you'll do almost anything to be there. But it's like when you have either a shitty race or a shitty season like that, it's like you hate it so much, but you get just that one little taste of success, and it's never gone. It just draws you right back in. But the one question I had for you, because I knew that you were kind of tight on budget for the season, had it not been for the amount of times that you were literally the pinata on the racetrack, would you have had enough money to finish the season?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we had enough budget to go testing as well, which is really rare. At first, it was just could only cover the race season. And then we brought on a new sponsor, Acumatica, and they helped with some of the testing budget. So that was really exciting. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll be able to test, but not enough to, yeah, totally destroy a tub.
Yeah, I would imagine you probably had a little bit for some crash damage, but not a lot of crash damage.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was unfortunate. And yeah, I mean, racing is, man, it's tough because, yeah, like you said, like you can have a great season, come off a championship win, and then you're like, oh, super hungry. You feel like you're on this wave you're in your zone and you're in this momentum. But sometimes just the stars don't align and things just happen to you, and you can't let it get to you too much. Otherwise, it's hard to get back into the game. So sadly, I've been in this position a lot of times. So I'm like, all right, like, it's just another storm that I have to just charge through. And now we're focusing on next season. So you never know when the stars will realign again.
Right. It's kind of like you said, you're riding high, and like you're getting all these likes and everything on your social media, and then all of a sudden somebody changed the algorithm, and all of a sudden you've fallen off the map for no apparent reason. But I want to come back to your season here in just a little bit. But Loni, when we talked, you had just come off of that win at Watkins Glen, and you were headed to Road Atlanta. So it's kind of the same thing for you. If you can kind of recap your season for those seventh gear overrev fans that may not know, let's hear it, girl.
Yeah, I had a really great season. Of course, there were ups and downs in it as well. I was involved in a wreck early in the season. Unfortunately, got taken out. Not really anything I could do, but I was lucky enough that I could kind of put together the people. I feel forever grateful because I know exactly how Ashley feels, and that I feel like her and I, when we race with a kind of a mentality of if we crash, it could be the end of our season. And while that's a really challenging way to race, and it's maybe not, you know, ideal, personally made me a better driver. It's made me more precise, make less mistakes. So all in all, I don't think it's the end of the world. But yeah, my season, I ended up finishing second in the championship. I think, as you said earlier in the show, that nothing is quite what you want it to be unless it's a win. But overall, I was super thrilled with the kind of bad luck that I had at the beginning of the season. To finish second was really great because for a second there, we were worried about just continuing, and had some really great battles, and absolutely loved every second of it. Racing with Kelly Moss is incredible. They're the best Porsche racing team out there. So they just teach me so much every single time I go to the racetrack. And all in all, it was fantastic, and hoping to continue that momentum into next year.
Gotcha. Well, it's interesting that you bring up Kelly Moss, because I mean, I'm friends with some of those guys, especially since they're based up in Wisconsin. Me being originally from there, even though I live here in Indy now, but those guys are definitely top notch team. But speaking of Kelly Moss, you guys both had the benefit of probably the most unique liveries on your cars during the course of the 2025 season in the Be Your Own Hero initiative through Kelly Moss. And I got a story for you, Loni, here in a minute, but maybe Ashley, you can kind of lead us off here and kind of talk about exactly what that program is, how it came to fruition, what that's all done for both of you guys.
Yeah, so a lot of this idea actually originated from Victoria Thomas. So she is the owner, one of the owners of Kelly Moss, and she had this idea because, I mean, both Lonnie and I think the way we carry our racing careers, we're both kind of charging through this on our own. You know, we're fighting for this. We're working hard on our own sponsors, and yeah, just making it happen. And so I think she got really inspired by both of our stories as well as hers too. I mean, she definitely is a go-getter. She works super hard, super inspiring for both Lonnie and I. And yeah, so the real reason behind the program is to inspire the younger generation, but I mean, ultimately, really anyone to be your own hero. So it's basically to inspire you to go after your dreams, whatever that looks like, and to give it your all. You know, if you work super hard, if you can make anything happen. So we both have our own superheroes on the car. It's really, really cool to see that. So we're each dressed up in our own superhero gear, and yeah, it's just fun because it definitely appeals to the younger generation, and that's super important, not just to us, but also to Kelly Moss and to racing in general, because they're the next ones coming up through the ranks. And yeah, it's just something really cool to be a part of because I've always believed in that, no matter where I go in my life, to work super hard and to kind of just make your own stuff happen. So it really aligned really well for me. And I'm sure for Lonnie too. So it's super fun to be a part of. And actually, we do have some merch. So if Christmas gifts, whatever you'd want, we have purple shirts, but we also have white shirts if you're not a purple wearer. We have water bottles as well, but it's really cool because on the back side, it has both Lonnie and I on the back.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
How cool is
And
that?
yeah, so all the proceeds go to Lonnie and I's program for next season. So definitely go check it out. They're still on the website on Kelly Moss.
You know, and I'm so glad you said that, Ashley, because Lonnie, I don't know if she caught up with you or not, but when we were at Road Atlanta just a few weeks ago, our resident security girl that sits at the base of the tower there by the elevators, she had a Be Your Own Hero water bottle that she wanted you to sign with it, and I think it was your water bottle. Did she catch up with you on that?
Oh my gosh, no, I didn't see that. That's funny because I kept seeing her every time I was working Sprint Challenge or other events racing WRL. That's funny. She must have just bought that.
Yeah, because when we were there at Road Atlanta, Lonnie, she had it, and she's like, "Oh, you know, because she mentioned you, Ashley. She's like, oh, I see Ashley, and she's so nice, and Lonnie's so nice. I want to try to get her to sign my water bottle." And it was. I don't know if you guys each have your own personalized, like it's an Ashley soup, Be Your Own Hero water bottle, or it's a Lonnie, but I'm pretty sure it was yours, Lonnie, that she was wanting you to sign. Did she ever catch up with you while we were there?
She did, and now I'm regretting that I'm not wearing the shirt, or and my water bottle's just sitting on the drying rack in my
Ah,
house. But no,
epic
it
fail,
has.
Lonnie. Come on,
Right? I know. Come on, Lonnie. What am
a
I
shit
thinking?
show right now.
Um,
Come on,
right, Helen Keller. um,
for real.
um, yeah. No, but it has both of us on the water bottle. So Ashley and I are both on the water bottle, and it's super cool. And yeah, I got to sign it for her, and she was so stoked. And it's just awesome to see that the Be Your Own Hero program is catching on with people and resonating with people. It's really, really neat. And like for me, to see the young girls and young boys, but girls in particular, see this car that's pink and purple and come up to it at the track and be like, wow, I want to learn more, and get them to sit in the race car is so cool because ultimately that's the whole goal, is to get young people in particular stoked about being involved in motorsports, whether that's being a mechanic or an engineer or a driver or a team owner.
Well, and you sort of alluded to it, seeing the interest and just because of like that sort of comic book superhero livery that you guys had, did you have more and more young people coming up to you guys and throughout the season just because of that and asking about it and engaging with you guys?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really cool to see a superhero on there, and I mean, Lonnie, I'm sure for you too. Like, not only is it pink and you have a woman superhero on the side, but you're winning. Like, that's amazing, right?
It's
So
yeah,
yeah, definitely,
100%.
yeah. So yeah, I mean
Yeah, both of
it's
us. I think, Ashley, I was hearing you talk the other day about how young girls would come up to you and be like, wow, I didn't even know that it was possible for a girl to be in motorsports. And then they would sit behind the scenes and watch the race. And you told the story of a little girl picking flowers and then coming up to you at the end of the race and you're on the podium or you won. And them being like, oh my gosh, you can be a woman in motorsports, but you can also do super well and beat everybody. So I just think stories like that are so cool. And I definitely had more young girls come up to me and get super excited. I actually had this little girl who is currently racing in go-karts. She came up to me at the racetrack, saw my car, was super excited. And we let her sign her name on the back of my car. And so the entire season, I had little Mila riding along with me the whole time in the form of her signature. So just things like that are so cool to me.
That's
aw.
phenomenal. I love hearing stuff like that, that you guys are having that kind of an impact. And especially, with that impetus from the folks at Kelly Moss to kind of say, put it together and have you guys be the living, persona of those characters on the cars that are really larger than life. And you guys are doing both amazing work out there. And I feel bad that you guys didn't have, especially you, Ashley, that you got, banged around so much during the course of the season. And I know you did too, Lonnie, but so to that end, obviously, it sounds like the Kelly Moss folks love you guys. You love the team. They've kind of started this whole process with the Be Your Own Hero. I would imagine that'll stay in place for next year. So that leads to the question. I mean, obviously, this is, yes, holidays. Yes, it's SEMA show. Yes, it's PRI show. But it's also, we got to find money for next year soon, like yesterday, so we can test in the wintertime and we can plan and we can, get ready to activate and all that kind of stuff. So starting with you, Ash, where are your off-season plans right now for 2026? Where do things stand for you right now? What's on the horizon for the great Ashley Frieberg? Delozier, but
Yeah.
just don't tell Josh I said that.
Yeah, so actually it kind of ties into the background as to what this whole program means. Racing is going to have its up and downs. I mean, you can't have great success without having some downsides or failures, or moments to learn from. So I'm just using this momentum to work on next year. So something we do have in the works, which it's not official yet. I mean, it's just something we're working towards, and it has been leaked a little bit in Sports Car 365. Um, Lonnie and I are working on potentially driving together next season in SRO. So we have a little bit of time, but like you said, I mean, time is ticking
Ooh.
yesterday. So we're both working super hard to find sponsorship, and that's really all I've been doing is looking for sponsorship for next season. I actually have a meeting tomorrow, so fingers crossed. But yeah, that's what we're working on.
So does it look predominantly like it'll be SRO kind of shifting that way? Or are you hoping to maybe stay in the Sprint Challenge series or the Carrera Cup, I should say?
It's looking like either IMSA or SRO. Carrera Cup was, I mean, the price is honestly a little bit astronomical to be able to do it right. Like, knowing that I need a spare tub or two in case stuff
Just
hits
because you
the
have
fan.
so many twat waffles out there that shouldn't be out there.
Yeah. So, I mean,
We'll trademark that one here on the Seventh Gear Out Rip Show, by the way.
I mean, you're going to run into that no matter what series you go in, especially now. I feel like because it's so expensive, you now have a lot of people that have just a lot of funding just buying these rides and not really going through the full process of going through the right schools and working your way up properly. And I think that's where like the lack of experience comes into play, and then that results in a lot of crashing. So it's just kind of like a part of the sport
Well,
now. So.
and sorry, I totally didn't mean to cut you off, but like to that point, to like the ability to crash. Like so many people have the budget that they really don't, it's not a big deal if they crash. And cars are pretty safe now that, you know, injury is much less likely. So people aren't as worried about themselves. The only thing that they would be worried about is the budget. But a lot of people now have such a big budget that it's okay. So sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but definitely, yeah, interesting landscape in sports car racing, particularly right now.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So, aside from the possibility of you two driving together, maybe an SRO, what else is 2026 shaping up to look like for you, Lonnie?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I next year having Ashley as a teammate would be a dream come true. When, you know, I was getting into the sport, you and I was younger, you know, and just kind of having racing as a dream of mine, you start to learn about all of these women who are in racing. And Ashley was always one that people spoke super highly about and, you know, had so many good things to say about not only who Ashley is as a person, but especially who she is as a driver. Just really an incredible talent and works super hard. And so for me, I think it's such going to be such a cool thing if we can make this happen, because I think I have a lot to learn from Ashley, and I feel like we can kick some butt next year. So I think it's going to be really cool if we can make it happen. Of course, the budgets are big, but I know that we're making progress. And I think that's what counts. I think right now things are looking better than they have in seasons past in terms of where we are with the budget. So yeah, we're just hoping to keep getting more, and that's really kind of the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to. Also, gonna try to run Pikes Peak again, but we'll see how that shapes up. So yeah, lots of exciting stuff.
Wow, I feel like I'm conflicted right now because I'm really happy to hear that things are looking up for both of you guys, but I'm also kind of bummed in that now if you guys are racing all next season, I won't see either one of you at AMG, and then what am I going to do without either one of you guys? I had to figure it out this year, Ashley, without you because you were busy chasing the dream, and you know, poor Lonnie had to put up with our Helen Keller moments like throughout the season here this year, which we had another one that you missed out on, Ashley, at Sonoma Raceway. That was another epic fail.
That was
Not
epic.
not not of my fault though. Not of my doing. That's a whole nother. What's that?
I can't wait to hear about it.
Oh yeah, let's just say they tried to do a drift program over by like turn 7. At the same time, we were trying to do race starts, and it wasn't clear as to where the pace car was supposed to go. And I'll just exactly leave it there.
Let's
All
just
right,
say that
so
the radio communication that we were getting through all of the radios, it was the radios were lit up, the batteries were burning up. It was nonstop radio panic.
radio panic, and then when you thought you were catching the group to do their single file restarts, it wound up being the group that was late to get to the drift class. So then the pace car takes off thinking it's the field, instead it's the drift people, and then all of a sudden they disappeared after the wrong turn happened in the middle of the course. So that kind of gives you an idea of just how epic that fail was. It was unbelievable. At any rate, all right, you both talked about women in motorsports, and you know the reputations. Lonnie, you were so kind in the words that you said about Ashley, and it goes both ways. And I want to dig into that a little bit more. But first, before we do that, Seventh Gear Overhead fans, if you are liking what you're hearing, we're obviously, you could tell we're making a big push here on our YouTube channel. We would love for you to share this with your friends, your family, like us. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're trying to grow our subscribers here. We've increased it. We started out this YouTube channel back in the like right around the Indy 500 with, you know, a handful of subscribers. Now we're up over 40. We're trying to drive that number into the hundreds and hopefully further so we can keep this thing growing. But again, like, subscribe, but also make sure that you go out and you support our show sponsors. You know, with it rolling into the holiday season, what better holiday gift to give than the gift of meat from Kraus Meats? Since 1923, always top quality, great handcrafted artisan small batch sausages and meats. They've got gift packages going out for the holidays. So make sure that you check out krausemeats.com and take advantage of their new lower pricing as well as their holiday gift boxes. But also go ahead and support our great friends and partners over at Dick Carriers and Respect Your Package, makers of those high-end breathable men's underwear complete with ball bustier technology. They're so comfortable. I have a pair on right now. You wouldn't know it, but just take my word for it. And if you go to their website and you put in the discount code RESPECT7, the number 7 and not the spelling of it, you'll get 20% off of your entire order. So think about that. You could send your favorite people underwear and meat. So go check those out, and it helps them out. It helps the show out, and we love it. So again, Respect Your Package, Dick Carriers, and Krause Meats. And now back to the show. All right, ladies, here we are. So we talk about women in racing a lot, and it's been a huge topic. I know you guys have had and continue to have involvement with Shift Up Now and everything that Pip is doing, for that program. They just had another gala, a fundraiser, that sort of thing. But and maybe it's just because as racers, or at least in my case, in my opinion, I don't see gender. I see another driver. And we're decades removed from Janet Guthrie breaking in at the Indy 500. We're removed from Sarah Fisher. We're removed from Danica Patrick. And there's more and more women in motorsports, yet it seems like women still find it the hardest to find money to go race. Why is that, Ashley?
It's a good question. I don't necessarily fully understand the differences between finding money for me, male, just because I've never experienced it as a man. So to me, I'm just another driver trying to find money. And through my lens, I think there's less of us, less women, although that number is definitely growing. And so I think in general, for drivers that don't come from a big financial background, it's really hard to find money for any driver. And I think that's only getting harder and harder as the sport gets more and more expensive with technology advancing and the cars getting nicer and faster and all the things safer. So I just think it's getting more expensive, and it's just really hard to find sponsorship. I think most of the drivers out there are already funded by their family or by themselves. So I think just in general, that's the case. And I honestly, based on my experience in racing, I think it's starting to get easier to find funding as a woman, because I see a lot more companies starting to realize that women make a lot of the buying decisions when it comes to really any kind of product. So I think there are a lot more companies now that are starting to see the value in sponsoring a female athlete, no matter what sport they're in. So I think for me now, I'm almost feeling like there's more opportunity now than there was before when I was younger. I mean, I feel like I was really scraping by to find opportunity. However, on the opposite side of not so much the funding side, but finding a good team that will put you in a good car with good equipment, I think that is pretty challenging for women right now. And I think that's one thing I'm super grateful for with getting on with Kelly Moss, because I think it's really hard, to be in the right car with the right crew, with the right equipment and all those things, to be able to then put that money in a good place. I mean, and again, kind of going back to having the stars align, I think it's almost harder to find that good team. So I think I'm just really grateful right now that both Loni and I are on Kelly Moss, because I think it's showing in both of our results that that's really where the benefit is coming from right now. So that's just my
Well,
experience to hear what Loni's is in terms of finding money.
Well, and I'm going to ask Loni that same question in a second here, but a couple of things you just said, Ashley, just kind of really tied it together for me. There's a couple of things there, talking about, a lot of the drivers that you incurred just this last season in the Carrera Cup, a lot of them are self-funded, right? They're maybe a little bit older. They're business people. They have their own business, and they're just writing their own checks. So in a lot of cases, they've got, more money than talent or brains, right? So they're just willing to write the check for, writing off a car, or, taking off a corner, whatever it happens to be. But it's not that different in like Indy Next either. You see so many of those that are either family funded from the family business, or they're self funded, that sort of thing. So, the legitimate drivers like you two, that are trying to find the money to go run, it's almost like you're coming at it from a different perspective. Uh, but the other thing that you said that really rang true to me just then is, being grateful for a team like Kelly Moss, because it really does take the perfect storm, not just to win a race, but to win a championship, where you've got enough budget, you've got the right team, and not just the right driver, but that driver relationship with their engineer as well. And that's such a key part. And if you think about it, I mean, there's so many different forms of motorsports now, but it's all kind of the same thing on a different scale. Whether you're racing quarter midgets at your local quarter mile track, or you're looking at Ferrari in Formula One, which we were talking about earlier. But think about it. Ferrari hasn't won a Formula One world championship since Schumacher was there. But think about it. Schumacher had the talent. He brought Jean Todt and all of those guys. So they had the dream team of brain power behind him. And that's what brought it all together. And it's even at that, if that's just another scale of what we're talking about, so there's a lot to it. I mean, even when I was running World Challenge, we almost had enough budget to compete. We competed well with what we had, and I had a great crew chief / engineer, and before our team owner decided to pull the plug on it, we were really in contention for the championship. But I digress. Loni, I'd really like to hear your perspective on this. Knowing that you've done work with Pippa and the Shift Up Now folks, and other women like Shay, our good friend Shay Holbrook. She's got a lot of young female drivers coming up through her team at BSI with the MX5 Cup. But have you experienced, and maybe it's different for you because you've got a well-known last name in terms of helping to find money, but do you find, obviously you're not a guy, so you don't have that perspective like Ashley was mentioning, but do you find in general, maybe talking to other women drivers, that it's still harder for women to find money versus men to find money to go race?
It's an interesting question, and it's so interesting to think about. I don't know. I don't think personally it's a gender thing. I think it's just hard to find money, point blank, period. And in my experience, it may even be a little bit easier to be a woman to find the funding. There's things in motorsports that make it difficult being a woman, but I have found a little bit, in that there's more attention on us. So if a woman has a bad day, it's very much like, or I should start with, if a woman has a good day, it's very much like, oh, she's amazing, she's the best there ever is, blah, blah, blah. And if she has a bad day, she's a terrible driver, she shouldn't be on the racetrack, da, 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 da. So I think that makes it difficult because of that attention, it's almost like the sponsors I found makes it a little bit easier because of that attention, especially, on social media, somebody sees a woman who's driving and there's automatically attention to that, whether it be good, bad, indifferent, whatever, but people definitely have their eyes on that. And it's actually quite cool. There's a company called Parity that's come out with some really cool statistics in terms of people supporting brands that work with women athletes. There's a lot more trust involved. I think Ashley touched on that. The numbers, I'm not sure exactly, but people are more likely to support brands who support female athletes, which is super cool. So yeah, it's super interesting. I think it's hard no matter what. I spoke to my dad a lot about finding funding in motorsports, and that was one of the reasons that he really didn't want me to go racing, is because it's so difficult financially, and it was difficult for him then, and it's difficult for me now. But it's taught me so much as a business person. It's made me so much more of a business person. I've learned a tremendous amount with how to deal with big companies, with doing marketing decks, sponsorship pitches. So it's kind of cool because not only do I get to be an athlete, but with it, I get to be a business person. So yeah, it's such an interesting world, but it's kind of a fun game, and we're all in it, and we all want to get drives and all of that. But it's almost like for me, the harder it is to get the rides, the sweeter that they are when they actually happen.
It's
Because
a
you're
great
like,
point.
wow, I really put in a lot of work to get here, and it just makes it super cool. But then also on the flip side, when things go wrong, it makes it that much more emotional.
Well, sure, because you're just that much deeper into it, right? With the amount of
Right.
emotional effort, not. I mean, the time. Yeah, they always say you can't get time back, but at the end of the day, you're willing to sacrifice that time if it means dollars for you or minutes. Weekends in the car. Maybe it's maybe your main focus is you got. Let's just say you got a limited season in SRO or Trans Am or whatever, but you get an opportunity to test a GTP for a weekend. It's like hell yeah. Any one of us would be in for that, right? But I'm glad to hear it sounds like things are loosening up, because it always just made me insane, especially seeing how many more females are coming into the sport, not just in road racing or karting, but even in like NHRA and IHRA, the drag race, you see more and more females. So it's when I hear that, like there's this sort of underlying unsaid thing that it's sort of like discriminatory against women in terms of funding. I just don't get it, because to me, maybe it's just because I race, and like I didn't, obviously I hadn't had a chance to race against you guys, but I did get to race against Shay, and to me, a driver's a driver. The car doesn't know any better. And if you're the better driver, you're the better business person to secure that money, then you should get it. It should be a meritocracy. So I'm glad to hear it sounds like things are maybe getting a loosening up a little bit. People have become a little bit more evolved, perhaps. But aside from the douche knots that crash you guys out. So I bet I get that. Um, right. So, just a couple more things here. So, we were talking a little bit off air about kind of other series that you follow, and a little bit of Formula One. What other racing series do each of you guys follow? Let's start with you, Ash.
Oh man. Other than that, well, of course I watch IMSA when that's on. Obviously, they ended their season. I watched some IndyCar, although I haven't been following it much towards the end of their season. Um, and I watch a lot of Supercross. Supercross is fun.
Yeah, Supercross is cool. What do you watch any MotoGP stuff?
No, I don't watch much of that, actually. Yeah, I've seen like a couple of races this past year, but I don't really follow that religiously.
Yeah, I don't really follow it either, but those guys are nuts. I thought we were nuts to go drive race cars at close to 200 miles an hour, but those guys are absolutely insane. What about you, Lonnie? What else do you follow?
I feel like I try to follow as much as I can of a little bit of everything, but there's so much racing going on, which is so cool. Like motorsports is such a big world. It's different than any other sport in that like you can tune in on a Sunday and see any sort of racing. So there's so much to watch and so little time to watch. Especially when you're at the track yourself is so cool. But I follow Carrera Cup super closely. Followed Ashley every single race she ran. I was watching and texting her after and everything like that. Of course, supporting Kelly Moss too. So I watch Carrera Cup super religiously, and then IMSA Weather Tech. I try to follow along, especially with their endurance races. Those ones are always good to watch, always dramatic in some form. I follow Formula One, not crazy close. Every now and again, I'll tune into a race, and then usually try to like watch the highlights and stuff. Supercross is so sick to watch. I've watched a few races this year, but talk about some gnarly racing, and those guys are just so strong. So yeah, just I respect those guys so much. I love Supercross, and to watch the Lawrence brothers dominate is so cool. Um, and what else do I watch? Oh, and IndyCar, of course. IndyCar, I have to. That's like a family requirement for me.
Yeah, I would think so. If you weren't watching that, you'd probably be disowned, I would think.
Right,
You can't not. But it's kind of the same thing with Pikes Peak. You can't not be into Pikes Peak if you're an Unser.
right,
So,
right.
okay. So Along those lines, you guys. So we were talking a little bit off air about Formula One. Ashley, you're there in Vegas. Just had a race in Brazil this last weekend. Next weekend's race is in your backyard there, Ashley, in Vegas at effing dark 30 in the late evening, early morning hours. So your take, we've got Lando's kind of expanded his championship points lead to like 9, I think it was, after Brazil over Piastri, and then you still have Verstappen mathematically in it. What's your take on who do you see the championship going to? I mean, obviously the constructors title has already been decided, but what do you think's going to happen with the McLaren boys?
It's been an interesting season. There's been a lot of drama, and it's been interesting to see some of their personalities come out differently as the season has progressed, like in terms of their aggression. I was kind of surprised by Piastri, especially the last race, because usually he's got his head on his shoulders pretty well. So I don't know if he's cracking under pressure or what's going on there, but I'm kind of surprised to see Lando starting to pull it together. So I kind of have a feeling Lando will kind of keep it together throughout the rest of the season. Um, but I don't know. It's tough to say because sometimes Max will just like appear out of nowhere. Like he went from last to he was what, like third or second the last race.
Yeah,
So
dude started from pit lane and finished third. What the f?
I know, like that guy is not human. So
Right,
I honestly,
right.
I like Max for that reason. Like he's definitely just a really talented driver, making a car work that I don't know is necessarily the best one in the field. So I don't know. I feel like it's going to come down to some mind games in the end, to be honest.
Well, and Max has had a pretty good career of learning those with all of his battles with Lewis. You know, when he was with AMG Mercedes. But what about you, Lonnie? What's your take on how these last 3 races are going to play out?
Well, first of all, it's so exciting to see a Formula One season that's interesting at the end.
That's actually
Um,
watchable.
I Right, I know. It's cool. Like the suspense is awesome. I wish this happened more. Um, but I feel like either way, it's going to be such a fun thing to watch. You're going to watch history be made with whatever outcome. I feel like it's great to see Lando having the success that he's having. Um, I thought it kind of always thought it was going to be Oscar, but I'm stoked that Lando's kind of rising to the occasion, and I'm excited to see if he is able to wrap it up. I think it would be really cool to watch him win a first time champion. I think it would be great for McLaren. But then on the other hand, to watch Max like come back from such a deficit, and if he won the championship, I mean, that's not something you're going to be able to witness. That's like a once in a lifetime kind of success story. So either way, it's just really good history being made. So I feel like it will be fun to watch no matter what. And I don't know. I think like Ashley said, Max could just pull it out of nowhere. I mean, I thought surely that the last race starting from pit lane that like, okay, this is going to be a so-so average race for him. Like, I knew he was going to go up through the field, but I didn't think that he would be contending for the win at the end or as close as he was to that. So either way, it's super cool. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Well, it's funny because we talked about it on the show here a couple times. Like the rap against Lando all season long was just that he was just too nice of a guy, right? That he just wasn't tough minded enough. And then all of a sudden it was, I think it's Singapore, when he banged wheels with Oscar to barge his way through, then Piastri's like kind of annoyed, like he needed to give the position back. And it's like everybody wanted to know, should Lando get penalized for that? I'm like, what are you guys bitching for? This is exactly what we've complained that Lando hasn't been up until this point, and now you want to bitch that he's that. It's like, shut up. This is elbows out, man. This is the championship on the line. But I did say, kind of along those same lines, that McLaren really needs to have both these guys under wraps, because the pressure is only going to keep ramping up over these last few races, and I think there's another sprint race or two in there as well. And 9 points is nothing. I mean, So I could easily see Piastri. I mean, and think about it. If Piastri is going to say, okay, well, this is how Lando's going to race, and I'm going to race that way too, and all of a sudden, before you know it, Verstappen's in the points lead going into Saudi Arabia or whatever the last race is. So I think McLaren. I mean, not that they're at the level of the old Senna Prost rivalry, from the late '80s and early '90s, but if they're not careful, and that whole McLaren deal could implode easily in what I think. I mean, I would love to see Lando win it, but I'd be happy either way. I want to see some not dirty racing. Let's put it that way. Makes sense.
Yeah,
I think.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it'll be
mean,
interesting.
yeah, because I mean, I don't want to see it like when Lewis was at back at AMG and Mercedes, the Petronas team, and he and Max had that massive got into each other at Silverstone, I think it was, and Hamilton had that massive shunt. I don't want to see that happen, but I also don't want to. I don't want to see Lando and Piastri take each other out. I will actually. Speaking of that, though, I'm going to send you guys this offline. But I saw a cool, this awesome meme this morning about Piastri. If the season goes the way it's continuing to go, it's basically shows him talking to a bunch of people, and they're all different. It's like Zach Brown and Andreas and some of the other team members, and it's Piastri going "F you, F you, you're cool," and "F you." Because of the way he feels like he's being treated right now. It's hysterical. I'll send it to you when we're done. But all right. So as we get ready to throw the checkered flag on this week's episode, though, ladies, let's kind of separate the business stuff. Now let's get to brass tacks here. I want to know from each of you, and I'll start with you, Ashley. And I know you have professional reputations on the line, and you're trying to find money, so you can only say so much. But biggest douche knot that you've ever raced against, and if you could say the name or a Pig Latin version of the name, or here we go. See, I knew there was at least one. I have them.
I can't say names, but there's one person in particular who took me out colossally last year, and it was totally uncalled
Last year,
for.
meaning the season that just finished, or 2024?
2024, I was leading the entire race at Watkins Glen, and he took me out on the back straightaway, and just for no reason. And then, yeah, I mean, I had a concussion the rest of the year, but he took me out again in Sonoma, and yeah, we're just not best friends. We'll just put it like that.
So, did you ever have, whether it was this person or somebody else, did you ever, like, when something like that happens, when you get taken out or there's contact, do you ever like go over to their paddock area and just kind of like have words with them? And I'm saying that nicely because
So it was crazy because after that crash happened, first of all, my brain is completely jello because I hit the wall. It was guardrail, there was no tire barrier at 155, and then I spun around, hit it again. So I was like fully
Oof.
messed up. Put us in the same ambulance together. So I had a few
Wow.
words with her, and I don't fully know what I said, but I definitely was like, really, like pretty much along those lines. Like, what were you thinking? Like, because he took himself out and two other cars out, tubbed all four cars. So that's really the extent of it. I'm not a super aggressive person, and I don't want to stoop to the same level as that. So I just kind of carried on from there and minded my own business. But yeah, some people
I
say I
kind
should
of,
probably clean.
I kind of feel
But
like even though your brain was a little mushy at that point, there's probably maybe an MF or a FU, or I'm thinking that might have slipped. I know you're capable of it, Ashley. I know you're capable of it. I've seen it. What about you, Loni?
Oh my gosh. There's always got to be one of these questions, huh, Kevin?
Well, duh. I
No,
mean, come on.
I do have a funny story. And I've toned down way a lot since this time.
Okay, we'll dial it up for
But
this telling of
I
it.
I have, yeah, I have a little side of me that can be a little bit feisty at times. But back like the
So you're saying you
first
can be a little
or
biatch?
second year, no, it's warranted. It's not. It's not me being the. Well,
It's
yeah.
always
Um,
warranted. That's right.
exactly. It's always warranted. Duh. No. So probably the first or second year that I was racing Spec Miata, I was racing at the Utah Motorsport campus. I think that's what they call it nowadays. I'm not really sure. The name has
Eh,
changed so much. But
it's
what
stupid
used
in
to be
town,
Miller
whatever it is.
Motorsports Park. Yeah.
Right.
Um, and I was running pretty good in the top five in like a 30 car field and having a good race. And some dum dum took me out, ended my race. And after the race, I got out of the car. I went up to him and I started kind of calling him out and, saying some words and not, you know, I was not very kind to him. and, um, and I kind of finished what I had to say, and he looks at me and he goes, I think you got the wrong guy. I just, like, my face probably turned ghost white. and, then,
Wow.
and he goes, I think it's that guy. And by the time I got over to the guy who actually was the culprit, I like lost all my steam and I was like, that was silly. And he goes, well, I saw the
Seriously, you
move done
blew
on
your wad on
iRacing.
the wrong guy.
Right? I know. Come on. Like lesson number one, Lonnie. Get it together. Um, I've
Did your
learned a
dad
lot
or
since
your
since that
Uncle
day.
Al have to like kind of talk you through how to actually have a fight with somebody to pick the right
Oh
guy,
yeah,
you know?
they encourage it. They're like, oh yeah, like
Yes.
let it out. They're well, like just totally old school, but yeah, that was pretty funny. By the time I got up to him, I was like, what the heck, dude? That's about it. But yeah, silly Lonnie. But we've learned, we've grown. Next time, I'm gonna get the right guy.
Yeah, I've only had that happen I think once in my career because usually when you've got idiots out there around you, you just sort of know that they're idiots and you just like don't associate with them. But yeah, I only had one incident in my pro racing career where I actually had to get in somebody's face, and that was actually very cathartic for me. I really enjoyed it quite a lot. I would do it
I
again if
could
I had the
I could
opportunity.
see that from you, Kevin.
Yeah,
Tell us the
yeah, it
story.
was
We want
it
we
was
we want to hear.
yeah, so it was when I was running in World Challenge. We were at Road America, and we had a clutch problem. So we started from pit lane, and I was working through the field, and I think I had worked my way up to fifth or sixth place, and I was chasing the fourth place guy, but it was in the touring car category. So as you guys know, there was touring car A and touring car B. So you had everything from the Porsche Caymans like I was driving to basically Focuses and Miatas and stuff mixed in there. So I'm going through turn one and I make a move to the inside of the TCB leader, I think it was, and he turns down on me at the apex and basically flattens my left front tire. So in turn one, so needless to say, I'm as far away from the pits as I could possibly be. So I'm livid at this point because I was catching the fourth place guy. So the next morning, I find out that driver, Tom O'Gorman, is paddock not too far from me. So did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. I don't care.
Spilling the
Fuck that
tea
guy.
here.
That's right. So I find him in a paddock, and you both met my wife, Missy. She's like, "Don't do it, don't do it." I'm like, "Nope, nope." I mean, I didn't throw punches. I wasn't going to do that. But I walked up to him, and then when we were in the false grid together, he was right there, and I said, "Hey, Tom." I said, "Tom, you see?" And I pointed at the left front corner of my car. I said, "You see this?" I said, "You touch it again, I'm going to fucking take you out." And he's like, "Whoa, whoa." I'm like, "Point taken. Good." So and then Missy, my wife, was like, "You feel better about that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually, I do. I
Yeah,
feel
I
really good
do.
about that one." Felt really good about that.
Still do.
Oh,
This
fun
many years
times.
later.
That's right. Good times. Can't wait to tell my grandkids that story.
Like,
Anyway, so you guys have driven a ton of stuff, from open wheel cars to, Pikes Peak cars. So each one of you guys, what was your favorite race car that you've driven? Not that you want to drive, but the favorite race car that you've ever driven, whether it was open wheel early in your career, recently, whatever, and the biggest pile of dog shit you've ever driven. Start with you, Ash.
Oh my gosh. I have like I have a few, to be honest, because they're all so different. Like the Star Mazda car was a blast to drive. It no longer exist, unfortunately. But that was back when they called it Star Mazda too. So it was a carbon
Mm-hmm.
frame. Yeah, super fun. And then I would definitely say the Porsche 992 Cup car is also one of my favorites. Really hard to drive at the absolute limit, but once you like find that sweet spot, it's so rewarding and you just kind of have to wring the neck out of it. Like it's just a really fun car to drive. Um, the worst car I've ever driven. I'd have to think about it. I probably would say I raced a stock car one time, and it was like fun, but also terrible because it was just a pig and didn't do a lot very well. But it was
Right.
fun to race. I was just around like 50 cars and we're banging and bumping. And so that part made it fun, but driving it like on its own when I was testing it, oh my goodness. Yeah, I can only do so many roundy rounds before I was like, okay, is it race time
Yeah.
yet?
Right. Gotcha. All right. What about
Yeah.
you, Lonnie?
Oh, I like this question. I have, yeah, been so lucky to drive quite a bit. My absolute favorite car was my Pikes Peak car this year. The 992 with twin turbo and massive aero was unreal, 900 horsepower at altitude, so it made way more than that at sea level.
Jesus.
Crazy, crazy. We were testing at Willow Springs, and I was getting wheel spin in sixth gear down the back straightaway. It was crazy. Um, so yeah, that was absolutely epic. And I got to drive Rallycross Lights car when they existed a couple years ago, and that was also super, super fun. But yeah, two awesome cars. Worst car I've ever raced, minivan.
Oh my gosh.
Was that is the most fun. I think I actually might have fractured
Yeah,
a vertebra in
worst.
Shay's back one time with that.
Oh no. Yeah, worst car, but best car. You know what the fastest car on the planet is?
Yeah, a van full of instructors trying to get back to the hotel from the track at the end of the day.
Right?
That's right, unless you're stopping to get something for little buddy. But hopefully we can do that at Coda. All right, ladies, as we're wrapping this thing up, is there anything that we didn't get to today that either of you guys would like to talk about? I feel like we covered a lot of ground, but I feel like there's other stuff that I've not even gotten to yet that you probably want to talk about. So, what did I miss?
I don't think so. I mean, for me, I feel like we covered a lot. I mean, I'm excited about hopefully racing with you next year, Lonnie. That's definitely a highlight for me too. So,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Lonnie, anything for you that
No,
we didn't talk
just
about that you wanted
super
to talk to?
stoked to be on. No, just super
Well, I'm
stoked to be on the podcast, and yeah, it's so fun. And Ashley, so excited to hopefully race with you next year.
how fortuitous. And I didn't even know that you guys were working on a deal to run together next year, but I did know that you were both with Kelly Moss. So, to that end, I know we talked about this earlier in the show, but I want to make sure that Seventh Gear Overrev fans, whether it's here or worldwide, because we are heard in 114 different countries now, how can they find either you, Ashley, or you, Lonnie, on your social media? And what about that great Kelly Moss Be Your Own Hero merch? Again, where can they get any of that merch, whether it's that or you guys individually? Ash, how about you?
So I'm most active on my Instagram. So my Instagram is just my first and last name, Ashley Frieberg. My last name is spelled Freiberg. It's very German. But to find our merchandise,
Yeah.
we have shirts and we have water bottles with Loni and myself on all of the merch. So you can find that at the Kelly Moss website. You go to kellymoss.com. If you go to the shop, you'll find all the merchandise there.
Got it. She's also on Threads too, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Lonnie, what about you? Where can people find you?
Yeah, Loni Unser anywhere. And to Ashley's point about the merch, all of the merch, all of the proceeds go directly to help our program next year. So would mean the world to if you supported or if anybody listening supported. But yeah, Loni Unser anywhere.
Lonnie Unser anywhere. Love it. So again, great holiday gift giving package. You can get your Be Your Own Hero stuff, and you can put the Dick Carriers, respect your package underwear in it. So you're saving on packaging along with Kraus Meats. So you've got everybody in the family covered for everything that they could possibly want, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, ladies, it has been so much fun to have you guys. I'm so grateful to not only have you guys as great friends, but also to have you on the show today and having you carve out a little bit of time to spend with us. I hope to do it again with you guys very soon. I wish the best for you both in the season coming up, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you guys run in the same car, whether it's SRO or elsewhere. So thank you very much, both of you guys, for coming on this week's show. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much, KK.
Absolutely. Anytime, anytime. Try to stay away from the crazies at F1 weekend next weekend. They're Ash, but again, couldn't ask for greater guests to kind of talk about everything with their racing program and women in racing in general. But again, seventh year over F fans, if you like what you're hearing us do, and we have these great guests like Loni and Ashley coming on, make sure that you like us, subscribe. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, share it with your friends. We got a great thing going here. We have great conversations, a little bit different than what you hear in a lot of other places. And also, once again, be sure to go ahead and support our sponsors, krausmeats.com, as well as respectyourpackage.com for those great men's underwear with that discount code respect7. And with that said, seventh year over Ev fans, we've got a number of great guests coming up. We are closing in on 10,000 audio downloads all time here. We're just about 150 shy of that, and we're four episodes away from 100 on the audio side all time. We're looking to drive all those numbers up. So we look forward to your support. And with that said, gang, stay tuned next week for the latest in the greatest spectacle in podcasting. See ya.